smokestacks flowing south. In the East River, you have 6 to 8 feet a day of tidal action. Flood tide, ebb tide, twice a day, every day. That's why we're timing our southerly trip with the ebb tide. And when we come back this evening, we'll time it with the flood tide. We're about a mile across the river right now. It's one of the widest points here. Back in the direction I'm pointing to is Greenpoint, part of Brooklyn, northern Brooklyn. The ferry point there, what is that called? Bushwick? Excuse me? India Street. That's the India Street ferry stop. That's in Greenpoint. Where these buildings are here is Williamsburg. Directly straight across here where you see this somewhat verdant area, there's a park and an inlet. That's Bushwick Inlet. It used to be Bushwick Creek.
Past Aaron, that's Bushwick.
In 1862, the USS Monitor was built there, the first ironclad vessel that the North built. And off the coast of Virginia, it fought the Merrimack to a draw. And so the first ironclads during the Civil War were built right there, Bushwick Inlet. Looking south, you've got the Williamsburg Bridge, which we're about to go under. Opened in 1903. It was the second bridge across the East River, the first being the Brooklyn Bridge in 1883. And the Manhattan Bridge was inspired by the Eiffel Tower. So if you squint your eyes a little, you can visualize the grid work is similar to that of the Eiffel Tower. And behind me, if you look across beyond the housing projects in Manhattan, you can see the Freedom Tower finally rising with the cranes on top. The tower itself proper is supposed to go to the approximate height of the Twin Towers, about 1,380 feet. And then the communications tower atop of it will top out at 1776. So it's as an American and someone who was affected on 9/11, for me, it's nice to see something down there finally going up. Where from all around the city, whereas when you're in other cities like in, California has its Mount, LA has its Mount Wilson, you can turn and say, wow, that's Mount Wilson. Other cities have their high points. For us, it was the Twin Towers where you could see it for miles around. Deep Brooklyn, Queens, parts of Nassau, Westchester, Jersey. You could always look and see the towers. So finally, within say a year and a half, when the building is done, you'll be able to see something. And the panorama from on the river is quite spectacular. If you have any individual questions as we paddle, come over close to me and ask your question.
Richard, can you tell? So I wasn't here and I was involved in getting this project. Can you tell us a tiny bit about the river district terminal and about the grandeur involved in that?
Well, I quite truthfully, I know a fair amount about the river itself, but I don't know a lot about the parks that are opening here. I've been to this. What is this one here?
This is called East River State Park. It's an old rail to barge terminal that was called the Brooklyn.